Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. This is Jefferson Davis over at blindphotography.us. I think I've done maybe one of these lives, but that's about it. Excuse me while I enjoy some Payson roasted coffee right here in Arizona. Excuse me. So, I have something on my chest I want to get off. There's an infinite amount of things that I want to get off my chest, but I would like to discuss, even though the name of this podcast and this channel is Blind Photography, occasionally I have to talk about the blind stuff because it does affect my life, my wife's life, and my family's life. So, and work life and everything, everything else in photography, of course. And I will get into that. We're going to make this as short as possible, less than 30 minutes, hopefully. Depends on how much I ramble, but I have a game plan here, so I'm going to try not to ramble on you. So today is Tuesday. I believe it's the 19th. Yeah, I think it's the 19th. It's
7:56 a.m.
7:56 a.m. Here in Arizona. So we are in Mountain Time, which is 2 hours away from the East Coast. However, because you guys have daylight savings time and we don't, we're pretty smart about that. We're actually 3 hours behind right now, so we're in the same time frame as California. So it's delicious coffee. So I want to talk about blind people because I've been going over statistics of the blind, and the latest ones I have is 2016, which you're 9 years old. They need to update this, but it's from Cornell University. It's supposedly an independent survey of the blind and visually impaired. So 9 years ago, according to their survey, and I don't know how they're doing this survey, could be people that are on disability due to visual impairment or blindness. Maybe that's where they're getting their numbers from, because it's not like they're going to send a letter out to everyone in the United States trying to find out what the statistics are. That's not financially equitable. So I don't know how they're coming up with these statistics. So 9 years ago, there were 7.6 million, 7,615,000, or 7,675,000 people in the United States that were blind or visually impaired. Now, in case you don't know, only about 10% of those are actually completely blind. I have 5 degrees of peripheral vision left in one eye. That's it. Otherwise, I'm completely blind in my other eye, and that's not a lot. That's like looking through a little bitty straw or a peephole, a tiny, tiny peephole. If you took a thumbtack, for example, and you stuck it in a piece of paper and you stuck that up to your eyeball, that's probably more than what I actually have, but I'm trying to explain it. So there are more women blind than men, which was a shocker. Women's around 3% of the population, 3.01%. Men's around 2.49, giving us a total of 2.4. We're speaking adults here. That's what I'm talking about at the moment. So what they do break down by race, and really we're not different races. I hate that. We're different from different groups. We're all, God's people. So the highest group and it really wasn't a surprise to me, is Native Americans. Alaskan Native or American Indian is what they say, but Native American. And that is not a surprise to me because they're not very trusting of doctors. They don't go to the doctor unless they absolutely have to. So usually things are pretty bad by the time they would go to an eye doctor. The older generation, at least. So that was not a shocker. Next on the list, that they were at 3.8%, which is very high. The next on the list is African American at 3%, which is pretty high again, higher than the national average of 2.4. Asians actually 1.4%. I found that interesting. They're the lowest percentage. Maybe that's genetics. Maybe it's something else. I don't know. And Hispanic is 2.2. Now, I do believe that if they did a survey today, that would be a lot higher because I know a lot of Hispanics, which I live in Arizona. I have a lot of friends. I'm a mutt myself. But I have a lot of friends that are Hispanic, and they have vision problems. And like the Native Americans, they don't really trust the doctors, or, some of them may be illegal or have illegals in their family, so they're scared to go to the doctor. And Hispanics and Native Americans have a higher propensity for type 1 diabetes. There's a genetics going on there. And that's the truth. You can ask any doctor that'll give you the honest truth, and they'll tell you that. It's unfortunate, but that's like my grandfather was Native American, and Native Americans have a high propensity for heart disease, and he had a horrible time. It took 6 heart attacks to kill him, but he had really bad heart problems. Only half of his heart actually worked when I was a kid, by the time I came around. So it is true. And with diabetes, your eyes go as well, especially if you don't keep a track on it, and they don't go to the doctor as much because they're scared to go to the doctor because they don't trust the doctors. So if it were to be done now, the Hispanics would probably be a lot higher than it is in these particular statistics. And white was it 2.4%, which is pretty high. According to this, that's higher than Hispanics by 0.2%. According to this, there were 5,540,000 blind, so they make up the largest blind proportion there. As far as, because at least in 2016, there were more Caucasians in this country than anybody else. They were still the majority. But that's no longer the truth. This is 9 years ago. Anyone under the age of 25 that's Caucasian is a minority in reference to age groups. So the next interesting thing, and I'm not just going to ramble this thing on here. I have a few points. I live in Arizona, and according to this, there's 175,600 blind in 2016. The fascinating thing is that I'm originally from South Carolina, and in 2016 there were 155,000. So Arizona population-wise is about 4 times the size of South Carolina, something like that. So the fact that South Carolina has almost as many, it's actually a much higher percentage, and I think that has to do with diabetes and bad dieting, which could be the same could be said here in Arizona with our Southwest cuisine that we love so much. bad dieting, bad doctors, diabetes is a probable cause. And people in South Carolina don't trust the doctors, which there's good reason for that. So this is what the NFB has. California, let's see, they had a really high percentage, 797,000 blind people. That's really high. I wish they have a high population too. So I would be interesting to see actual current data and what that would show now. You know, how many people now would be blind. But that is interesting. Give me 1 second. I do apologize. Replying to the wifey. So I apologize for that. And Florida has a high percentage, 544,000, which they have a high population too. They need a percentage breakdown in here. I may have to put this into a spreadsheet. See, that's another thing. I use VoiceOver on the Mac and JAWS on Windows, and JAWS is a real head wrecker when it comes to different software. It is a pain in the neck. But one thing I did find interesting is that 30% of those blind that were surveyed have some college or educational associate's degree, and 15% had a bachelor's or higher. So that's actually pretty good. Then we get to income. It says that 17% are on SSI. And SSI, I don't even know why they brought that up, because there's Social Security Disability, and then there's SSI. So Social Security Disability, most blind people are on it or have applied for it because it provides you a consistent income while you either to live out the rest of your life. It's not a lot, but it's consistent income. Or while you're getting educated to go back to work. SSI is meant to be Social Security income, and it's meant to be temporary. So the fact that 17% are on it, that's pretty interesting. Another thing I found interesting was if you're on disability, you can get Medicaid. 40% are on Medicaid. So 40% of the blind are on Medicaid. So it's really interesting statistics when it comes to the blind. I know this stuff is probably boring you to death, and I'm sorry. Let's see if I've got any commenters here. I can't have C anyway, so. Pretty interesting statistics for the United States. I find it fascinating. I'm glad they have this available to us. It is 8. Let's see, what time is it?
8:09 a.m.
8:09. We've only been talking for like 14, 15 minutes. That's pretty good for me. So one thing that I have noticed, this is a blind gripe, I guess. One thing that I have noticed of late, a lot of people do not know what the blind cane is. So I've had a lot of people say, "What kind of stick is that? Or what are you doing with that?" Like if I'm at work or I'm out for a walk. Well, I thought that was a hiking cane. I mean, it's a white cane with the red on the bottom, signifying that it's a blind cane. Can't get any more obvious. Before, I mean, I've had vision problems all my life. I've been blind in one eye all my life, and I worked with other blind folks growing up and new people. So I knew what the blind cane is, and probably everyone that I grew up with could tell you what, when they see a blind cane, they could tell you what it is, or that person's blind or they're visually impaired. But not anymore. People just don't know. I don't know if it's the area I live in or or what, but they just don't care, and that's fine. If I'm coming down the sidewalk with my cane, and all I see anymore is blobs. Everyone is a blob. Tall, skinny blob, bigger blob. It don't matter. Everybody's a blob. I can't really see detail anymore, which I'm glad to be able to see that. Don't get me wrong. So I don't know who you are, or necessarily how old you are, or what color you are if the sun's real bright. And none of that really matters. But I need you to get out of my way so I don't hit you with the cane. But people are like, oh, what is that? I thought it was some sort of hiking cane. Or I thought it was a stick. I've heard all kind of crazy stuff. And it drives me absolutely batty that people don't understand what a blind cane is. It's not that hard. It's very, very straightforward and easy. But for some reason, people just don't care to know or do know. But this was just about statistics, and I just want to get on here and say hello. Say that I haven't forgotten this YouTube channel, and I will be back when I'm a little more energized. I kind of woke up tired. But I got to go to work shortly, so I just wanted to do something for the day before I went to work. But I hope everyone has a good day, and be grateful for the sight that you have, because some of us wish we still had it. It's like some people, I talk to a lot of people that can still see a little bit, and they'll tell me they dream in 2020 and then wake up with blobs and stuff. Light perception is all they have, so it's kind of like a nightmare. And then some people that are blind that could see dream in 2020 and then wake up and can't see anything. So that sucks. But anyway, I hope you guys have a great day. Sorry for rambling, but I just want to say hello and tell you that I'll be back soon enough. Just trying to get some life stuff straightened out. But